Resistance through no sex. The 4B movement is South Korea. Apparently, there's actually a huge birth decline in South Korea because women still think it's the 1800s or 1700s where they are forced to be wives and they don't want to bear children or they're single by choice. But let's go ahead and watch this documentary from DW, not Daily Wire. This is some German documentary site. Let's go ahead and watch this.
In South Korea, life is tough for women. Discrimination and abuse are daily realities.
Korean women is especially considered as second citizen.
In 2018, radical feminist movement 4B emerged in response to societal misogyny. Some of its supporters don't wish to show their faces. What does 4B, the four no's, stand for?
My question is, if you are a diehard supporter for this movement, why not show yourself? Why not express yourself? Is it because you don't want to be, pointed to as a reason for why the birth decline rate is so heavy in South Korea and a whole bunch of other countries too? Like, there's a birth decline rate in Japan as well, and also in China and the United States. A lot of people who have these strong feelings about misogyny, they don't want to express themselves firmly. They want to stay hidden, which, it's your right to privacy. I get that. But if you are one of the people that's all for the whole man bad misogyny is why women are not getting married anymore, which is, again, false. Because marriage just destroys men than it does more women, even if the man is not the one in the wrong. So
no sex, no dating, no marriage, no childbirth.
It is written like sex strike, but it is not 100% about it.
This is what I find funny about these freaking these no sex 4B movement type of things. Like, they literally think that, yes, there are some men that only think about sex, but when it pertains to like a marriage, like a man, they all they want is a wife who is supportive, who is caring, who is someone that can stand right there next to your side. Like, it's not always about the sex. Yes, sex, both men and women love sex, so it's not just a man thing. So I don't get this whole sex strike thing, even though when they did a sex strike thing, women caved more faster than men. So
4B thing is very Korean feministic lifestyle, and it is like irreversible. We cannot be taken back again.
Why have some women come to see the 4B movement as their sole option? In Seoul, Min-young Lee, a simultaneous interpreter and foreign language tutor, lives in a shared apartment with other women. Together, they create a communal workspace, supporting one another professionally and personally.
We're together often. Sometimes we see each other daily. All of us here are language teachers. We'll work together, chat, have a snack.
Today, Min-young is a devoted feminist, but it hasn't always been like this.
I was very shy and I was very afraid of misogyny. And inside of me, there was a kind of fire that I need to do something to contribute to this society as a woman. But I was so scared of my future that is unknown.
you see, the one thing I always find funny about these I was scared of misogyny women, a lot of them have never even been touched by a man. They probably had some like snarky remarks from a guy before, in which, if that does happen, yeah, it's bad. But to say like, oh, misogyny is just a men are gonna just do whatever they want to me and I can't fight for it kind of thing. Like, once again, a lot of these women who are in the no sex strike feminist misandrist movement, a lot of them, some of them are still virgins, which is crazy to me. Like, you say no sex strike, but then your cherry hasn't been popped. So you talk about misogyny and all this stuff, but once again, you never even been touched by a man.
Min Young's story is not unique. In 2016, a brutal murder in Seoul shocked the nation. A young woman was killed by a stranger near Gangnam Station's Exit 10, a case that sparked outrage and opened a wider conversation on misogyny.
Wait a minute, but okay, so all this was because a woman was murdered? Nothing about assault, nothing about rape, none of that stuff. Because somebody was murdered, this is why the 4B no sex feminist movement strike happened. And now you have a tirade of lesbians just saying all man bad. Like, that's it? Is that it? Like, there's gotta be more to it than that. It has to be like, apparently some lesbians came out against men. That has to be it, because let's be real, this 4B movement, a lot of it has to do with lesbianism. And I don't. There's gotta be more to it than just someone got murdered in 2016, which is bad. But to say like that's the sole purpose of why the 4B movement started, there's gotta be more to it than just that.
The killer was sentenced to 30 years in prison, but the act wasn't viewed as a misogynistic hate crime, just as an isolated case. The country reacted with outrage.
Again, so right there, it wasn't a misogynistic case. But the 4B movement said it was. It was just some dick. It was just some piece of shit guy, probably, that was as crazy as hell. Again, I say people like that, just give them the freaking death chair. So, your taxes won't have to be, keeping that mofo's belly full. Just give him the damn chair. It'll be less expensive. Or take it to the back and shoot him in the head. It's just a joke. It's a joke, YouTube. It's a joke.
I was hurt by this. There was a transition of a simple incident turning into a historical point. We were ready to speak out about what we felt and what we want.
South Korea is considered deeply patriarchal. Men hold more power and influence. Women endure not only domestic violence and workplace discrimination, but also face a staggering gender pay gap and the pressures of balancing work and family responsibilities.
Again, what year? It's just like what's going on in America. What year do you think it is? Like, what? This is not the 1960s, 1970s, 1950s. What year do you think it is? And especially during these times, a lot more men are actually, there are some studies out there that actually show men are better providers and better caregivers than women, even though they also work. Like when it pertains to especially when it pertains to raising a boy, right? They will show their son, nephew, whoever, what it means to be a man. And it's those type of situations where men, heck, even some studies came out that men are better at raising daughters than women. So, what's this caregiving narrative that they keep on pushing that women are the mainly providers and nurturers for, pertains to raising children? It's because of the whole single mother household thing? No.
South Korea's rates of sexual harassment, cyberbullying, and violent assault are shockingly high, frequently surpassing the global average, a grim reflection of the country's gender inequality. There's heavy pressure to marry and have children, but little government support. Women are underrepresented in parliament.
But why do you need the government to take care of you, though? Why do you need the government to protect you? Why can't you just protect yourself? Like, there's a reason why in the United States there are literal gun laws in place to help you protect yourself. But, you have these anti-gun activists that wants to take away, actual instruments for you to protect yourself, right? Like, do you not know how many times, like, a small pistol has saved a woman from a crazy bastard? Multiple times. And there are multiple videos out there to prove this, that if that woman didn't have that small weapon in her purse or maybe her bag, then things may have escalated a lot more worse. So, you need the government to protect you when the government, even though they are openly watching you 24/7, it's up to you to protect yourself, right? Whether you take martial arts classes, whether you have like a very strong taser, or whether you have a small pistol in your vicinity, right? In your purse, bag, hell, even down your chest, your chest if you have boobs.
Non-consensual webcam videos are often circulated online and monetized around the globe. Professor Hong Jae Lee researches feminist philosophy at the University of Seoul. A sought-after expert in the field, she speaks at feminist demonstrations. Email threats and disruptions of her lectures by male students are part of her daily life.
Okay, if this is true, that's bad. But why is it that it's going like this, right? Like, everyone is always saying, oh, man, just do bad things. But potentially something like this, oh, it may be just trolls, right? Because that could be, like, the main issue, trolls. Or the whole... She probably could be doing a lecture that all men are evil, all men are rapists, all men are women beaters, all men are misogynistic. It could be that as well. Like, not telling the full story here.
Previously, Korean women weren't aware of the derogatory language men used about them. Now, thanks to the internet, it's all out there. Women today are also better educated, have a deeper understanding of equality. We're seeing a generation that chooses to resist.
2018 marked the beginning of the 4B movement, which began with an anonymous Twitter post.
We settled 4 principles, which is not doing 4 things: sex, dates, marriage, and making babies.
Again, this is crazy. I always find this crazy because they only think that this is mainly a man thing. No, women want sex, women want marriage, women do want kids, and women do want basically everything else that they claim a man wants, right? They, like, think about it. The whole sexual liberation movement, right, was all about women being more open with having sex with anyone they want, because all men was just out here having sex with anybody, right? That's what the misandrist said. Like, the majority of men out here are just having sex with anybody. Given total, a man will fuck anything if it's right there. That is very true. Hell, if you actually look at it, a lot more women will have sex with a, you know, a handsome, cute, strong jawline guy than they would with an ugly guy. But a man will have sex with an ugly woman if it's there. So what's this whole man want kids, marriage, sex? Women want that too. So just saying it's a man thing, again, misandrist take.
In Korea, this context is very, very like overrepresented in women's life. So that's why we wanted to get rid of these 4 things to find a breakthrough.
That was enough to kick off a revolution. Where has South Korea's rigid fixation on gender roles come from?
And if you actually look at a whole bunch of businesses that's in the United States when it pertains to marriage, a lot of them are closing down. Because, hell, even this whole fight with gay marriage, some gay people don't even want to get married because they don't feel it's worth it.
Up until 2008, the Hoju system designated men as the legal head and sole authority of the family.
Actually, no. To actually make it worse, there was also a study which pertains to like which same-sex marriage actually fails more. It's women and women. They get divorced at a much more higher rate than gay men. So again, is it man's fault?
This rigid system of gender roles entrenched male dominance, a structure that continues to influence many aspects of South Korean society today. Min Young and her community head to a gym, Seoul's first strength training studio exclusively for women. The gym's discreet signage reflects the challenges women still face in a society where even physical empowerment can be controversial.
That has nothing to do with misogyny, though. That has everything to do with biology. Prime example, men are built stronger, depending on who you're talking to, because there are some men that are weak as hell out here. Men are built stronger. Men have higher muscle density. Men have stronger backs. so they can lift up more heavier objects even if they are doing this solo. So, because strength training, men have a higher advantage of strength training that's apparently misogynistic? What is this? Again, this whole movement is just filled with, you know, misandrous, man-hating lesbians.
The purpose of workout is to raise up their self-esteem.
What is
For
this?
the feminist movement, I never exercised. I felt I should have been a pretty woman, not a healthy woman.
And what is she aiming for now?
Not being wife anymore or a girlfriend for other men anymore. Just be myself and with other women.
What does that even mean?
Most men were unwilling to talk with us about feminism. Many were hearing about 4B for the first time.
You want to know why? Because it's always the same thing. Man bad, woman empowerment. That's usually what it is.
Why is that need to exist for a woman, only woman?
I don't think it's good to reject things in such an extreme way.
Yeah, that's true.
Many young men express feeling disadvantaged compared to women, frustrated by the mandatory military service they must endure, concerned over what they perceive as diminishing opportunities for men in top universities. While the number of women-only universities is increasing, women still have the freedom to apply to any institution.
That is very true, right there. What pertains to the military, the government always wants to go towards men first, because it's not because men are stronger, it's also due to the fact that men are just more expendable than women. So, and then, here's the thing. In the United States, no, not the United States, World War III between Israel and Iran is it's right there. It's literally at the tip of the freaking red line. Do you have a lot of women coming out and saying they will happily come in and join the military to fight for Israel or Iran, whichever one you support? No. They're basically saying they are basically just going to the streets and just protesting. In the United States, when there's literally killings going around in Israel and Iran, but they out here protesting the United States. What the hell is protesting the United States about Israel and Iran? A war that ain't got nothing to do with does have to do with, you know, fighting the war. Unless they want to go out there and join the front lines with either side they support. They ain't gonna do that.
신자유주의 경쟁의 특징은 뭐냐면 경쟁에서 졌을 때 국가나 사회나
What's unique about neoliberal competition is that the state, society, and even your immediate surroundings offer no safety net.
모든 것이 오롯이 개인의 책임에게 맡겨지는
For men, yes, because again, men are more expendable than women.
거거든요.
You got to protect women at all costs. That's literally what the government is. Like right now in the United States, women are more protected than men. There's a literal... Women can have their own programs. Women can have their own movements. But if God forbid there's a men's rights movement, it gets labeled as domestic terrorism. So
You're entirely on your own.
피해 의식이 굉장히 이제 많이
These young men who are feeling oppressed or victimized are highly insecure and afraid of women's progress.
Oh my God. No. It's like feminism has just gone too goddamn far.
이 불안한 공포들이 몰려올 거 아니에요. 불안함들이.
It's not insecurity. A lot of men would, some of them like a strong woman. It's just they don't want that strong woman to be a narcissist, toxic. Toxic. They don't want that woman to, to berate them, even though they are out there doing their best. Like how y'all say men are just constantly doing with women. Y'all are literally becoming the issue that you guys claim men are.
Studies have shown they express those feelings as contempt toward women.
수사시키고 해소시키려고 하는 것들이 여성.
A prime example. When was the last time you actually heard of a story about a woman who is rich taking a broke guy and then building him up? Doesn't really happen. But you will hear more stories about this. One guy who's probably rich, got all these women, messaging him, want to get with him, He chooses one, and then he gives up a whole bunch of money, right? You hear more stories like that. But pertains to a woman giving a rich woman giving a poor man a whole lot of opportunities, that only happens in soap operas for real. But a rich man giving a poor woman a better opportunity, a better life, that's standard, right? A rich woman giving a poor man more opportunities to live better. That man was just weak.
혐오로 이어졌다라는 분석이 일단은 하나 있습니다.
A case at Seoul Women's University made it clear that misogyny doesn't stop at the doors of educational institutions. A professor allegedly sexually harassed a student. It was only after months of protest that he resigned. This feminist student union spokesperson didn't want to be identified for fear of the consequences.
It's disappointing that the university didn't take the right steps on its own. If something like that were to happen again in the future, it would become even harder to discuss and address sexual harassment openly.
Have you ever heard of Me Too? Have you ever heard of Believe All Women? You want to know why a lot of people stop believing that? Because false accusations are still rising. So you can blame down on the university for not taking immediate action, but they do have to do a thorough research to make sure it's actually true. That's not like just calling for a immediate termination when they don't even know what happened. This is why investigations need to happen, to make sure that it wasn't something false. Because if it was false, and the person who's being accused has the evidence that it was false, that said person could sue the university, the organization, the program, anything like that. If it does happen, I'm on the board. Fire him, put him in jail. But they can't just say, "Oh, we just believe you," because with days like false accusations, Me Too, Believe All Women, it would be bad. Because more innocent men would be in jail than already are in jail right now.
No space for sex offenders at Seoul Women's University. Female students made their outrage public with posters like this one.
So why not just hire an all-woman, industry, right? Oh wait, they did do that in a whole bunch of places, and there was still banter. So
the professor who was under suspicion showed no remorse, even threatening legal action. Throughout it all, the university remained silent. No wonder then that 4B finds support here.
After discovering 4B and seeing how women were living it out, my whole worldview shifted. I realized I can reject things I don't like and break away from societal expectations.
So one incident happened and all of a sudden it's, I hate all men.
I can decide for myself how I want to live.
You was always able to do that.
Emancipation in South Korea isn't entirely new, however. This is Yosong Kukuk, a form of theatre that's around 100 years old. It's performed solely by women, playing both the female and male roles. Artist and anthropologist Siren Eun-Yong-Chong
That's the Korean version of Ellen DeGeneres.
has studied this cultural phenomenon for many years and reinterprets it in her own stage productions.
From the very beginning, women organized themselves independently and secured their own livelihoods. That alone was a feminist act in their time.
Siren often works with queer artists. In its early days in South Korea, feminism and the LGBTQ+ scene shared close ties. Now, Siren takes a critical view of 4B.
Supporters of the 4B movement are extreme. They strictly adhere to the 4 bans: no sex, No dating, no marriage, and no children.
And you see why. You see, so let me get this straight. Women doing that is empowering. Men doing that, oh, they're insecure little babies. Right. You see the double standard here.
And focus intensely on self-optimization. They save every penny, invest in stocks, and indulge only in luxury. But if their aim is simply to accumulate wealth and status through hypercapitalism, I'd say they're missing the point. It's not enough to just focus on individual success. They're only scratching the surface of what true political change requires.
4B is a small, uncompromising group, controversial even within South Korea. Yet the broader feminist movement is gaining traction in society, says Professor Lee.
It's small, but it's gradually growing. That's the thing. Like the whole 4B thing is also happening with these, feminazis in pretty much all over the world, whether it be United States, South America, China, England, hell, Japan, and right here in Korea. This whole 4B thing has been going on for years. They just didn't call it 4B. They call it, feminism. That's literally, they just changing the name, and then when you have some actual woman that calls it out for just being like misandrous, they get called pick-me's. But you want to know what's funny about that? Pick-me's actually get picked. They actually find a good man. They actually find happiness in marriage, just being with that woman alone, having a family, and still doing what they want to do. I mean, you have the freedom to be a mother and still work. You can do it full-time or part-time. As if you working with, your husband to ensure like everything gets more smooth instead of like, just berating each other, it works. The problem is some women out here are just finding or getting pregnant by piece of shit men, and then they say it's all men that's piece of shit.
Even women who don't openly call themselves feminists are now partly living by the principles of the 4B movement.
So they're feminists in secret instead of being open. Yeah.
There are quite a few of them too, which South Korea's extremely low birth rate reflects.
So feminism has openly hurt the birth rate in Korea. That sounds like what's going on in China. Actually, no, China, that was more the government saying you can't have more than one or two kids. But that was China's fault. But also, that's what's going on in Japan. Feminism has reached Japan. A lot more women are out here saying, man, bad. Oh, I'm not getting pregnant by this man. Something like that.
It reached the lowest level in the world in 2023, 0.72 children per woman, well below the 2.1 needed to maintain a stable population.
So, good job, feminists. You guys are openly causing South Korea to go extinct.
Back with Mingyong.
Hell, I hope even some freaking these clinics that hold men's seeds, a lot of them don't even want to inseminate some women out here, because due to the fact that it's also expensive, but you also gotta do a background check to make sure that person doesn't have like a crazy background.
She and her colleagues are on their way
sperm banks. I don't know why I was blanking out on that.
To a language class. Their method is intuitive and female-driven, women helping other women learn as many languages as possible, as quickly as possible. Sharing knowledge, wit, and strong solidarity as a group. Weapons for the future.
Again, it's just some misandrous lesbians that's, openly bashing men and saying like everything that's bad that happens in their life is because of men and misogyny. It's just misandrous lesbians.
I don't think that this world will be changed, but there are women who are changing very fast every day, day by day. So that is the hope that I see.
And speaking of which, how's the WNBA doing since you guys want more representation? There was your opportunity right there to promote women's basketball, a women's only league, and it's not happening.
Sexual offences and deepfake pornography are on the rise in South Korea. Gender equality remains a long way off, but change is beginning to take root.
So because of feminism and the 4B movement, the birth rate in South Korea is gradually declining. And South Korea, it sounds like in like 10 to 15, 20 years, maybe even 50, South Korea may end up going extinct because the birth rate is so small right now. And this is all because of the whole man bad, everything a man does is bad. Men are the reason why women don't want to get married. Men are the reason why women don't feel safe in this world, even though it's literally the small percentage of men that's out here doing those heinous crimes. And again, doing acts like that, give them the death penalty, give them the chair, go and put them in the dirt and then bury the dirt. that doesn't make any goddamn sense. But you guys know what I mean, right? We have uber feminists, uber misandrists like this that puts out this narrative that oh, we don't want to get married, we don't want to have sex, we don't want to have family, we don't want to be dating. It's all because of men. Again, but God forbid if you do that same type of logic pertains to men not want to date women, apparently that man is gay. It's not about protecting yourself from the legal institution that happens when it pertains to marriage and state laws or government laws. It's not because you're gay or you feel insecure or you fear women. When things like Me Too, things like the divorce rates about why women get married, it's not because of abuse. It's because women just fell out of love with a guy, not because he was born, but because they just do. Again, if we want to actually go to a much more deeper depth, why are the divorce rates for women, for same-sex marriage, woman and woman, a lot more higher than sex when it pertains to man on men? Again, can you blame men for that, or is it this crazy narrative, this crazy misandrist, even sexist narrative that everything that happens to a woman, if a woman falls out of love with a woman, it's the man's fault? So this whole ideal that the 4B movement is some sort of empowering for women, it's not empowering because it's deliberately hurting women mentally, and it's actually hurting women spiritually as well. So I don't get this whole concept about the 4B movement. No sex, no dating, no marriage, no kids, right? Even though some of those women don't even get picked in the first place to actually be worthy of that. You know who does? Hell, the pick-me girls get chosen a lot faster by some actual good men. The problem is, we got women that's in the 4B movement. They don't get picked by good men. They choose the piece of shit men, and then they go and say, all men are shit, all men are bad, all men are misogynistic, all men are controlling, all men are abusive. They always choose that man knowing that the red flags are there, and they say, this is what all men are. This is how all men are. First of all, who told you to try all men? If that's your logic. But guys, yeah, feminism has gone too far. Like they say in this documentary, there's even some feminists out there that don't even want to be labeled as feminists or 4B. Why? If you're very open about and supportive of this movement, why not be supportive openly about it? Right? I may not be a man's rights activist, but I can see where they're coming from. I also believe like there are some issues with it pertain to men that do need to be heard, but they're not heard of because, again, the government is protecting women way more than men, especially when it pertains to the military, right? You're basically expendable as a man in the military. But if you're a woman, especially one who is pregnant, you get discharged quick. There's no protection clause when it pertains to men in the military, unless you literally had your legs, blown off. But like I said, man, feminism has gone too far, man. That's all I'm gonna say about it. Feminism has gone too far. But let me know what y'all think about it in the comments below. If you like the video, like and subscribe, share the video. I'll see y'all next one. Peace.